Hello, this is Tikva from Homeopathy for Humanity. We are at last resuming our Organon on Thursday. And this is Sanjay from Homeopathy for Humanity, and he has our PDF. Say hello to the people.
Hi. You can introduce the other people also.
If they want to be introduced, they can say hello. A lot of people like kind of doing their own thing. So we have a few new people with us today, but I don't want to, step on anybody's toes for just joining. Hey, pull up the PDF, please. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I have two screens, so I need to search. Did you allow me?
Oh gosh. Where is that in my thing? Mm, mm, mm. Okay, does anybody remember where we do share from to allow him to do? I know. I know from participants. Sorry, guys. And we find Sanjay on the participants, and then we have to make him host. There, now he'll be able to screen share.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I forgot about that step.
Screen share. Screen 1. Okay. Oh. Can you see it?
Not yet. It's still loading.
Is
Yep,
it?
now we got it. Yep.
Yes.
You. Okay, so this is Aphorism 34. The greater strength of the artificial disease producible by medicine is, however, not the sole cause of their power to cure natural disease.
We need to keep in mind whenever animal uses this word artificial disease, he is referring to a medicinal disease. A lot of in lot of places we can see this word artificial disease, and
Yeah, the
we need to
artificial disease
understand.
is very important.
And this artificial disease means he is referring to a medicinal disease which is produced by medicine. Huh?
Yeah, we're literally creating an artificial disease inside the person to displace the natural disease. But not only the artificial disease. In order that they may effect a cure, it is before all things requisite that they should be capable of producing in the human body an artificial disease as similar as possible to the disease to be cured, which, with somewhat increased power, transforms to a very similar morbid state. Remember, the word morbid means disease. The instinctive life principle, that would be like the vital force, which in itself is incapable of any reflection or active memory, it not only obscures, but extinguishes and thereby annihilates the derangement caused by the natural disease. This is so true that no previously existing disease can be cured, even by nature herself, by the accession of a new dissimilar disease, be it ever so strong. And just as little can it be cured by medical treatment with drugs, which are incapable of producing a similar morbid condition in the healthy body. So accession means to add something new. So when we give somebody a homeopathic medicine that's dynamic in potency, we are creating an artificial disease. We are adding something new. And by its similarity, we're able to have the body, the vital force, extinguish the natural disease. So no matter how dissimilar it is, it's not going to cure it. But the more similar it is, the more likely we are to cure it. And the most similar it is of all, the most likely we are to cure it.
So we see here the Hahnemann is talking about the artificial disease, means medicinal disease, means the medicine which you are going to prescribe for the sick person. How it should be? It should be the most similar. And in other paragraph is talking about the dissimilar. So what happens when similar to diseases, or we'll say when similar medicine is given or dissimilar medicine is given?
Yep. Similar versus dissimilar. This is actually the section of the Organon that we are embarking upon. And this is the beginning aphorism for it. But we want the coverage to be similar. So if we have like symptoms, then we want it to be very, very similar, to have like very similar coverage for the symptoms. And then that way it annihilates the natural disease.
If you remember in earlier aphorism, I don't remember the number right now. I think aphorism where we have learned the nature's law, I think 26, where it Hahnemann has given some examples, or there are some examples of.
Yeah, right. In the footnote about physical affections and moral maladies, and how Jupiter vanishes in the gaze of the beholder with the stronger sun, and how night disappears with day with the strengthening of the sun, right? And music and sugared cake and the nerves and the other senses. And then it says about how the soldier cunningly stifles the piteous cries and shrill notes with the noisy drum.
We will consider some two similar things and two dissimilar things to understand the concept.
Yeah,
Suppose you are in the silent room. You are in the silent room, and you are talking with the whisper, and still you can hear very clearly what the other person is saying, right? Why you can hear that voice with a small intensity in the silent room? Because there is no other sound, no noisy atmosphere. And imagine same, there is a music is playing loud, like in the pubs, and even when you are screaming, your voice will not reach the other people's ear. Why? Did you understand what I am saying? Tikwa,
Yeah, I understand.
can you explain?
Can I explain? Well, when we have something that's louder than what's originally there, it makes it so the other one's not obvious. You can't, it's less perceptible.
Yeah, whenever there is a noisy atmosphere, even a loud sound when you are talking, that will be not hear properly. That will affect, means the stronger sound will affect the weaker sound.
Which then brings me off on a tangent. One of the proving symptoms in graffiti is that the person hears better with background noise. Fun fact.
Yeah. And another example is there about dissimilars. like you are talking in an environment which is very much bright. One is sound and another is light. Two dissimilar objects are together with strong intensity. Still, they will have their effect, right?
Yeah, so to cure disease, we need the most similar medicine available that can create an artificial disease that is stronger
Yeah,
than a natural disease.
the
And the way we make it
artificial, yeah,
stronger is by titration and potentization. That is what brings out the dynamic energy of the medicine. Otherwise, it's just, an herb or a metal or a mineral, and some of these have very, very little effect on the body. But once it's titurated and husked and potentized, it becomes stronger because it's dynamically stronger. And you remember, this is the medicine of dynamic.
yeah.
And so the
What?
proven medicine that we've found must be able to produce a disease that is the most similar to the natural disease. But the
Okay.
stronger displaces and extinguishes the natural disease.
When they are similar, when they are similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question here or a quick comment.
Yeah,
When we are talking about this concept, I'm guessing the potency also has a special role here, like an important role. When we say stronger than the natural one, that's where
right.
we also need to match the state or the level of intensity, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because the strongness or weakness, it is dynamic when we are talking about the homeopathy. We are talking about dynamic energy, a dynamic strength of natural disease, and dynamic strength of artificial disease which you have produced in the person with the medicine. Which is the
Yeah.
stronger one? Natural disease is stronger or artificial disease is stronger? That here Hahnemann is talking when a medicine you are prescribed, the artificial disease is similar and it is stronger than the natural, that time the cure will take place.
Well, we could do some fun things here. Let's say this is the disease. Okay, we have a deck of cards. We can't cure the disease with scissors. It's not similar. Let's say we have the disease and we have a cup. We can't cure it because it's not similar. But if we have card, then if we have something that fits like this with another card, it's similar. We can cure it with another card, but we can't cure it with a bottle. It's not the similar. We need it to be something similar. We wouldn't actually cure it with another card because that would be wrong. But let's say, because that would be isopathy. But let's say we have a paper and the paper is similar to the deck of cards. That's a better fit. This is similar to the deck of cards. While the cup is not similar, the scissors are not similar, and the chip clip is not similar. But the piece of paper that's rectangular is similar. See?
Yeah.
That make any sense? Maybe
It
not.
does. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And then now, like, for example, if I have this clip here, and this is the natural disease, and I get a similar remedy, but it's not strong enough, right?
Yeah.
I don't see what I'm showing. Uh-huh. then I need to adjust this either more frequent or same size to actually cure, right?
Excellent. Exactly. Very, very
I got
good.
it.
Very, very good. Though we want it to be most similar. And Devira put in the chat that the paper is stronger because it's bigger. Right, Devira? Yep. So we want it to be a match of similars, but not same.
Okay. Now, Tikwa, can you read the another paragraph? It is very important. Another paragraph. This
I read
one.
the whole thing already, didn't I?
Yeah, we need to explain that one.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. This is so true that no previously existing disease can be cured, even by nature herself, by the accession of a new dissimilar disease, be it ever so strong. And just as little can it be cured by medical treatment with drugs, which are incapable of producing a similar morbid condition in the healthy body. So
Can
somebody
you
has a
explain?
disease. Hmm?
Can you explain that one?
Yeah, I was just starting to. So somebody has a disease. Okay, we'll just go with a basic disease. Let's say a flu. You're not going to be able to cure the flu with, let's say, the Tylenol, because the Tylenol it's not similar to the flu, right? Tylenol and flu, they're not the same thing at all. But when we have something that creates through the proving data, that's why we have proving. We have something that produces a very similar illness that will cure the original illness. Because the dissimilar, it might cover up symptoms, it might make people feel better, it might do a lot of things. Or, if people are using hormones, it's not a dissimilar. So we need to have something that is capable of curing by producing a similar disease state.
Right.
And it needs that dynamic energy. I mean, for something like a flu, people generally get well on their own with time. When we get to chronic disease, with things like heart disease and other things like that, people need that dynamic energy much more than, for natural, normal, epidemic
And
disease in healthy people. Okay,
this is a simple explanation of the above aphorism.
yeah, this is just one of those easier English kind of digest things that I write, like you see in the group. So when we had aphorism 34 in the group, we had this in the group, right? But now we're up in
Can
the
you
two.
read it? Just read it again.
To cure disease, we need the most similar medicine available that can create an artificial disease that is stronger than a natural disease. The properly proven medicine must be able to produce a disease most similar to the existing natural disease. This stronger natural disease will displace and extinguish a natural disease. The medicine needs to be proven most similar to the symptoms. The unusual characteristic symptoms are best, and we want the best matching to the proving data. No previously existing disease can be cured by a dissimilar disease, not even a strong one. And it cannot be cured by a medical treatment with drugs that are incapable of producing a similar morbid condition in a healthy body. Similars cure.
I think that's all we can talk about this aphorism, because if you try to explain another things like dissimilar disease or similar disease, we will just popping up into the another aphorisms.
Mm-hmm. So let's say we're just going to review. We've got our deck of cards. We can't treat this disease of cards with scissors because it's not similar. We can't use the chip clip, not similar. The pencil is not similar. The glasses cleaner cloth is not similar, but more similar maybe because we can kind of cover it up
It
like
may
this.
cover,
Better.
it
Uh-huh.
may cover, but
Might.
it will
But
not
we
fit.
Yeah, but we have a kind of similar here, not same, because same is an entirely different thing. We don't want to use same. Same means isopathy. We want similar. So this is similar to the deck of cards. So this has the potential to cure card disease,
Like
folded
this.
paper disease, card disease. Now you have same. That's same, Sanjay. That would be isopathy.
Okay,
Card and card.
you can say this and this.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Kunjan,
Yes, so what you exactly mean by same and similar? Like, I understood the example, but in this cure form, I am not getting.
Tikwa, she is asking what is difference between same and similar.
Well, similar. I don't know how use those words in Marathi for her.
No, but it means like it should be like same, not exactly same,
No,
but
same.
cover.
Same. You can say, suppose Nakswamika to Nakswamika. It's same. But you are giving Nakswamika to symptoms of other person. It's similar. Do you understand? Hello?
No.
Try in
I
Marathi, Sanjay.
We have four of you. Gunjan,
Yes, yes.
suppose आपण एक नक्षस्वामिकासाठी नक्षस्वामिका देतो ते एकदम सेम होतं, एकदम सेम. है ना? पण नक्षस्वामिका तशाच टाईपचा दुसऱ्या कंटेंटला जर दिलं आपण, कोणत्या पर्सनला दिलं किंवा प्लांटला दिलं किंवा ॲनिमलला दिलं, है ना? पण हे नक्षस्वामिका आहे आणि दुसरं काय, दुसरी कॅटेगरीतला आहे. हे दोन्हीतलं साम्य आणि सेम ह्याच्यातला फरक आहे.
ओके. ओके.
लक्षात आलं का नाही?
हो, थोडं समजलं. I
ओके, ठीक आहे,
understood.
आपण बोलूया.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
So
any other questions?
when we have somebody who has a natural disease, we select the symptoms of the natural disease, and then we find in the proving which has the best coverage of the proven substance for the natural disease. And that in the dynamic product will be the most similar.
You mean to say approximate, right?
नाही, कॅरेक्टर्स वेगळे वेगळे,
Okay.
दोन कॅरेक्टर्स वेगळे, दोन वेगळे सोर्सेस वेगळे वेगळे.
Okay.
म्हणजे एकाच, जसं आता सपोज हा बॉक्स आहे, आणि मी हे दोन कार्ड घेतलेत, हे सेम आहेत, हे सेम आहेत, हे सेम आहेत, पण मी ह्याच कार्डला ह्या बॉक्स सोबत मॅच करतो. हे सिमिलर झाले, पण हे कार्ड सेम आहे. हॅलो?
Yeah,
Parallel.
I had a set of Legos to demonstrate that have somehow disappeared from my desk. Remember the Lego demonstration? Were you there for that, Gunjan?
बरं मी सांगतो तुला.
Okay, okay. No problem.
Christine,
Did she get it?
I'm
You
not
got it?
sure. If I
I
had my
will,
set of Legos, I could demonstrate again. You try again, okay?
I will ask a question that may make you understand better. So, I will just mention an example. So for example, somebody that has shingles, right?
right.
And they have all the skin lesion and they have the post-herpetic neuralgic pains and everything. And they can be treated with, for example, Rustox, because the Rustox has the herpetic lesion that is similar to shingles, or they can be treated with Meserium for the neuralgic pains. So that would be similar. The exact same remedy to treat this person with would be the shingles nosode, for example, the Espersoster nosode. That's the same. So similar would be maybe Rustox or maybe Meserium, but the same would be the nosode made exactly from the same disease. That's the difference. And my question regarding that, my question is, for this example or for any other example, and this may be out of topic and you let me know if we can discuss it another day, but I just thought of this question. I wonder if sometimes when you try, many remedies and they don't completely work, is it valid to try isopathy, so to try the same as a last resource? Or even, really my question is, so isopathy never works, or it may work in some cases?
It sometimes works, but it's not the
Isopathy,
best option. If you need to use, let's say, 2 remedies that are similar, one back to back might be better than using the same.
Okay.
And it's very
isopathy,
common when somebody has an acute that they're going to need a deeper acting medicine after an acute. That's why we were going to go through Bonninghausen's classification of diseases, because when we've used a regular class, it's called the regular class of medicines, the Rustox would be the regular class. The Meserium is going to be an antisporic. It's going to be a much deeper acting medicine. So sometimes we'll need to, after we've used Rustox, sometimes we'll need to use Calicarb, or sometimes Calcarb, or sometimes, whatever, the sulfur. For example, like with herpes, sometimes people give Rustox for herpes, but maybe that herpes actually needs sulfur to actually get rid of it from the system and keep it from coming back again, instead of just giving, with each flare up Rustox. This wouldn't be best treatment. And that is why we use this treasure, because then we keep the herpes from coming back.
this book is very, very important. Unless you understand this concept, everything is in vain.
Right. Yes, we are only starting to study, because me and Svetlana, we are first year homeopathy studies. So even though she's been doing it for a long time and I've been studying like for a couple of years also, but officially, in school, this is our first year. So now we're starting with that book exactly this month.
Okay, great. Yeah, but that's a very, very good example.
Very, that book is very, very important. That will give you an exact idea what the understanding of chronic disease Hahnemann meant.
Excellent.
And it is very different from how it is different from the concept of modern medicine nowadays.
Definitely.
We talk about typhoid fever, we talk about malaria, we talk about shingles, we talk about tinea or any type disease, you can name the disease. We have the similar symptoms, but disease is not similar. The
Excellent.
disease we are talking is about how these forces that these dynamic forces, because he's talking about something dynamic has to affect the dynamic energy of the life, means the body. You cannot affect that dynamic energy with material thing. That's why I given the example, when two people are talking in a silent room, they can speak very clearly, even though they are whispering. But if they are in the crowd, crowdy or noisy place, they might not able to speak properly, even they are screaming to talk with a very loud voice, right? But if they are talking very silent in a very bright room, there are two sources. One is sound and another is light. Light is very bright, sound is very small. Still they can talk because the sources are different or dissimilar. They are not same. Same thing is happening here. If you are having the symptoms similar, but concept of the disease is not same. You cannot affect a dynamic energy with the material cause. In allopathy or in modern medicine, we see there is a material cause for every material disease. If you remove that material cause, they will say the person is cured. But here he is talking about a dynamic thing. You need to cure the dynamic thing. And to affect this dynamic thing, the natural source should be dynamic, means the natural disease which is material. I mean, when I am talking about material, I am talking about the bacteria or whatever there is microbes, material, and they have ability to that dynamic ability to derange the natural dynamis. Dynamis means vital energy of the body of a person. It is not the bacteria. It is a dynamic force of that bacteria, which is actually affecting from very, very minute what will I'm not able to pick up the right
Yeah, because
words.
see, if somebody's vital force is strong and they're healthy and they haven't, just undergone some kind of emotional distress or something, they're not going to be affected by just a little bit of strep, you know? They're not going to be because their body will just be able to handle it. There has to
So,
be like a perfect storm, is what we like to call it. The perfect storm that creates the disease. More than one component. I mean, we're like bathed in bacteria and viruses and fungi and everything all the time, right? But that doesn't mean we get sick.
and
Something else.
another thing, in cure process, whatever we are using as a medicine, we are not using the material dose. Like the medicines are in modern medicines, they have a material dose. We are using a very minute medicine with a higher dynamic energy. That's how we are trying to cure the dynamic with the dynamic, right?
And it has to be slightly stronger than the natural disease.
So that's all we have in this aphorism. Still, if you have any questions, Christine or Svetlana?
No, I think I already bothered you with a lot of questions. I mean, in my head, but this is really because just I'm a first year student, but in my head, I always wonder, I'm sure I will be able to do this in the future. to know what you just said about slightly stronger, I struggle with trying to define that with potency or frequency, but I'm sure I will learn it with more experience to recognize, the success, how susceptible the person is, and also the nature of the problem, if it's intense or not, or if it's chronic. So I know there's a lot of aspects that I need to take into consideration, but I'm still, learning on this subject. I understand the concept, which is, what you just said, that it should be a little bit stronger to be effective. But I struggle to try to choose the right potency and frequency still.
Yeah, frequency and potency are very important things, but the most important of all is the accurate selection.
Right. That is similar. Exactly. That it's a similar picture of the totality. Yeah.
So that's the most important. And, whether or not you're giving that in a 30C or 200C is only going to mean that, maybe the action will slow faster, with
You
a
are
30.
just bringing the action faster or slower with the selection of these potencies.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing that will totally dependent on the person's susceptibility. That is another part we should talk about,
Different
because
subject.
higher potency, in a higher potency, you need to have a strong vitality. And if the vitality is very weak, you should go for lower potency. That is a concept. But how should you consider which vitality is weak and which vitality is low? What is
Yeah,
the
and then
criteria?
another very, very important aspect to that, and
How you
how
will consider? How
the
you will
water
came to
knows
know?
how much water to use in your dilution is also very important when gauging the vitality. For example, this is a water dilution of sulfur 200 made January 25th. Okay. Now, if somebody's strong and they need some sulfur, we can just give them a teaspoon of this. If they are weak, we would want to fill a separate cup, part way or all the way with water, and then add a little bit from here, a teaspoon, and then have them take a teaspoon from this. And then if they're totally, totally weak, then maybe we'd want to do that with 1 teaspoon here to another cup of water here. So, your cup dilutions and the amount of water you use in your dilution, all these different things factor into how to change the dynamic action of the medicine and make the body more amenable to taking it. And then, of course, succussion, when we need to redose, helps prevent aggravation. So there's a lot that goes into this, and it's all very, very, very important. But
When you add into a third cup, Tikva, doesn't it make it more dynamic? I keep getting stuck on the same point. Doesn't it make it more dynamic? So you're not looking, and for someone who's weak, you want it to be less dynamic, like more gentle. So I get confused there.
What do you have to say about that, Sanjay? See, if I'm doing somebody who's really weak, what I want to do is, we don't want to do like succussions between the second and third cup. We just want to take a tiny little bit, So that makes it, it would be stronger if we were succussing it versus not succussing it after we've had the necessary succussions. This is a very, very large topic. Anybody else have anything to say on that? But what I don't think it makes it necessary, if it's very, very dilute and there's so little of it, doesn't necessarily make it more dynamic, but it would surely be much more dynamic if we were succussing between the cups, as opposed to just giving more dilution.
And again, doesn't the more dilution raise the potency?
No, it
again,
doesn't. potency.
No.
No,
So
It
what
doesn't-
raises the potency?
1 to 99 with percussions. So 1 to 99 with 100 percussions will raise the potency.
Mhm.
We're just taking it down to a more manageable level, just like how in the group today we were talking about olfaction, and we're talking about how, just kind of like a little whiff, way below the nose is different than sniffing like this, both nostrils, right? Because you're getting
Right.
less.
Mhm.
So we change the effect that it has on the vital force by the amount of water, the amount of dilutions, the amount of the sniff, how deep the sniff, whether or not we use one nostril, two nostrils, whether or not we hold it close or far. There's just so many different components, but no, it doesn't make it stronger potency. It just makes it, I think it makes it just more, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right word. I really can't think of the right word. Anybody else?
Gentle.
Yeah, gentle. It is gentler the more dilution. But if we were to add secussions to the dilution, then we would definitely be stronger again. But in order to make something from a lesser potency to a higher potency requires that 1 drop to 99 of liquid with 100 secussions. Then we dump that out and we'll have the next potency.
So if you only dilute and you're not succussing, you're not raising the potency?
We're not even raising the potency, and we're not raising the potency with the initial dilution. Let's say that nobody has succussed the spot, which they might not have. If we just have, our 1 poppy seed size pellet, and we have approximately 17 tablespoons of water, which is the general amount that I give to just about everybody, is like, a half of a half liter, so a quarter liter. This is what I do in general for everybody. But if somebody is then really feeble, then I will do a 1 or 2 step dilution using just a fragment from the first dilution instead of using it straight. Let's say I'm going to give this to, let's say my 21-year-old son needs sulfur. I'm just going to say, have a tablespoon from the cap, because his vital force is strong, thank God, right? But if I'm going to give it to somebody who isn't so strong, then I'm going to want to put it into a dilution cup. But I don't want to, succuss or stir that. I just want to give it just as is, a little tiny bit, then with a bunch of water. Because I don't want to change the dynamic energy. When we succuss it, we are changing the dynamic energy, but not changing the potency. This becomes stronger dynamically. I mean, you can hear it bubble and fizz in here, so we know something's happening. But it doesn't make it a different potency. It just makes it so that the body will accept a redose.
And if I do it 100 times,
If you do it 100 times, it's still not going to be the right proportions to change the potency.
mhm.
It's not going to be 1 to 99 or 1 to 1,000, depending on what scale you're using. You're not going to be turning it into a 201 because it's not 1 to 99. But just the succussion itself, makes it so that the body will accept the redose. But it doesn't change the potency. It's still a 200C. It's still a 200C. It's just a 200C that has now had a few succussions. And if somebody is like, more frail, then we'd want to, let's say, maybe use 2 succussions or 5 succussions between redoses. Or if somebody's very, very, dynamically vibrant, we want to go with 10 succussions because we're not going to worry much about whether or not they're going to react badly.
How much succussion can we give?
You mean per dose?
Yes.
Well,
Say
Hahnemann,
we are using 30C. So
Mhm.
till how much we can give
you
for
mean
repetition?
how many succussions can we use? Or how many times can we give succussions and redose? Which one are you
No,
asking?
no. How many time I know that? It's depend upon us, like 2, 5, 8, 10, whatever it is. But till
Mhm.
how much we can give? It is like
Until it stops working.
that. Okay, fine. And then we need to jump to next potency, right?
That's hard. Unless you happen to have, let's say, if you're going to use a 30, the best thing to do would be to, let's say, maybe get a 35 from the pharmacy, or maybe a 40, because it's
Hmm.
hard to go. It's hard for the body to go from the 30C, even if it's had a number of doses with succussion, to go up to a 200. That's a huge jump. If you could get something else between, maybe a 40C or a 50C. We see that, the old homeopaths were using a variety that wasn't like based on the Kentian system. So if they were using 30, then they might go to 40, after a couple of succussions. Or they might go to 50 or 60. But this idea of jumping from 30, 200 to 1M was a part of the Kentian system based on the Swedenborgian levels of heaven kind of thing.
So you never do that? You never jump from 30 to 200?
Not usually, no.
You get a special order?
No, I usually will just stick with that potency and just give succussions and just use it until it doesn't need it anymore.
But what about if they need the next potency at that point? Let's say the 30 doesn't work anymore.
That doesn't usually happen to me. And I don't often start with 30. Only in special cases or often as an intercurrent will I use a 30. I'm more likely to use a 200 or maybe even a 1M.
Your opening prescription is usually 200 or 1M.
Yeah, unless I
Wow.
want to use an LM. If I want to use an LM, then that's pretty easy to reorder, from an LM1 to an LM2, right?
But ma'am, how can we make out right? See, if you are using 30C, the symptoms are going, maybe it is decreasing. Then again, we are using 30 after succussion. So sometimes maybe there is a chances of palliation, like we are palliating it.
Well, if our prescription is nowhere near accurate, we might be palliating, and that would be a problem. But if we
Yeah.
are close enough, then the symptoms might change and we need to go to
There
another
is very little bit hairline difference only, so it should be very keen, like.
Yeah, you remember, I think that what was it in the yes, it was an Organon group today. We discussed about how we have our case, right? And we've taken our notes from our case, and maybe the patient can't tell us how they're feeling. So what we do is we ask them about each point,
Yeah, yes.
and then we see if we need to change our prescription or if we need to redose the same medicine. And sometimes if you get stuck, Devera, you can just use a concordant.
No, but why would I use a concordance if I know? I'll give you an example. Right now, I'm in a situation where somebody's been taking 30C as very infrequently for the past year. This is that young girl who had that psychotic episode, right?
Okay.
So we started her with pulsatilla, and then she went right into calc, and she's been on calc
Okay.
very infrequently at 30C.
All right.
Right now, she may be in some sort of a depression, but nothing major. So we want to bring her up to the 200C. It's been already a year. that she's on 30C, which did a beautiful job on 30C. We did not give her
Right.
1 AM or 200. I don't see it as a problem. I don't know, to go up to a 200C, but
It's not a problem. It's just that it's just a big jump. It's a big jump. I would feel more comfortable personally ordering, let's say, an LM2 and using a double dilution.
instead of doing a 200, you're saying.
Yeah, because the 200 is a big jump.
Is
But
it
I
like-
wouldn't, why an LM2? I could even do an LM1. I don't need to go to a 2 from a 30C.
Well,
I don't
you
find,
have to look at the similarities between, is it going to be dynamically stronger than the 30 to use an LM1 as opposed to an LM2?
very different, no?
It's
I don't even know if you
different,
can
but is it
compare.
stronger?
Yes,
Much
ma'am.
stronger.
Is it like that? See, if you are giving symptom similar medicine, then 30, if you have prescribed to some person and he is getting better, so if your medicine is right, there will be no need of much repetition, right?
Mhm. Yeah, well,
And
unless it's
yeah,
acute. If it's an
and
acute, you might need to use a lot of repetition, especially
yeah,
if
but in case if you have to repeat it more, then maybe you are palliating.
maybe, maybe not. It's
Mm.
hard to say because, I can't.
Well, in my
So-
case,
You need
it's
to
not
understand-
palliating. It
Right, yours
holds for
isn't.
months and months at a time.
Yeah,
That can't
Yeah,
be
so how
palliation.
to make out that? Yeah, how to make out ki yeah, we are not palliating and is getting cured because the symptoms are decreasing in any ways.
Symptoms are
Listen,
decreasing.
listen. If you are using a wrong remedy,
Hmm.
it is not similar. That
Okay.
time that will palliate or partial similimum.
Hmm.
But she's asking, how
if
do you
you are-
know?
Yeah, how do you know? See, a single symptom prescription. Single symptom prescription. Usually will decrease the symptom, but it will palliate the whole state.
that's an important point. When you're only working with one symptom, that you run into trouble like that, you need it to have, to cover the best coverage you can possibly fit.
How many symptoms do you need for the case to
See,
consider it as?
for an example, I can give one example. When I'm having a kid of like 7-year-old and he has some skin eruption, so I prescribe him lacasis, and after that again water doses only I have prescribed. So after that it started decreasing, and on and off it comes off, but not in that intensity as earlier, right? Say if it is 100%, now it is coming 20-30%. So always I repeat lacasis in increasing that I give succussion to the medicine, and then I prescribe him and he gets better. So I am palliating it, or yeah, it's right way to cure, like.
See, whenever you are using the medicine, you are giving the medicine and symptoms are decreasing. And again, after some time, the symptoms are relapsing, and again you are using the same medicine, and again the symptoms are decreasing. That is you are asking, what is this
Yes.
means? है ना? Whether it is cure or whether same problem
Not
Hahnemann
in
also
that
had.
not in that much intensity it is coming. Say it was, for example, it was 100%, so now it is coming 20% like that.
That
And I
means
have given the antipsoriatic medicine also. I have given him antipsoriatic also.
yeah, but you have not completed the cure.
So I need to jump on a higher potency.
Higher potency, right?
But I get scared, like it is a skin disease. So maybe if I
No.
use the higher potency,
No,
it will give
higher
worse.
potency, if you look at the case and if you have a strong vitality of the person,
No,
then
he
you
is
can.
not having that much strong vitality. He is a very sensitive kid. Whenever if he'll give little bit higher potency, he start with epistaxis and all like that symptom.
If you're getting nosebleeds with every redose, then you might need to reevaluate something.
No, no, no. He has
1
that
minute.
tendency. Generally, he has that
Before,
tendency. He is a sensitive person. I'm trying to say it like that.
no, sensitive means whether, see, weak vitality and strong vitality. How you will recognize?
Uh, Say if the person is having good sensitivity, like
No,
uh,
if the
in the
person, how he is responding to medicine,
okay.
whether he is responding very vigorously, even for the lower potencies.
Hmm.
If he is responding okay with for the higher potencies,
Hmm.
strong
Uh,
vitality will not respond vigorously, it will gradually step down. Still, we will make it a little bit more simple, but I think this session is getting very.
okay.
Okay, we have one more hand raised. Svetlana, if you have any questions, you can say. We can't hear. Tikwa, can you hear her?
Can you hear now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you are.
Yes.
It's been most interesting to listen. Thank you very much for this discussion. Really very important what I really needed to hear. Like, I have a question, two questions. Like, first of all, is a particular case which, I was my homeopath and teacher who I, learned a lot from. She always used 30C. She was Robin Murphy's student, and he hardly ever used higher than 30C. So I also did that. But there's a patient, it's a 40-year-old man who has both physical and mental symptoms. And I've never been able to help him. Like, he always reacts to a 30C, the first dose, like with a huge aggravation of his mental symptoms, like meltdowns, aggressive behavior for a couple days. Then they just disappear. He reacts well to acute remedies, so he has probably a good vital force, but I've never been able to help with his, like, he has ear noise, like ringing in his ear, and all sorts of pains, rheumatic pains and hernias, but also he has this abusive, aggressive behavior, despair, like those kinds of symptoms. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
And so I've never been able to help with either physical or mental. And then someone told me it's because it's too low, 30, it's too low, and then I tried at 200. And so what happened, I haven't been able to help with the physical symptoms, but I think since he refused, he already got disappointed in homeopathy. It's my husband. I just probably was wrong, but I knew that some wives that came to Hahnemann did it. I put some pills, like 200 pills in his water, and that really helped with his, mental symptoms for a while, but then it stopped helping. That was one remedy. Then I tried another remedy, and again, it helped for a while, and then it stopped. So could you try to help me? Was it the wrong remedy, or was it because I was doing it not, the appropriate succussions and such? Or what
probably
would
that.
you do?
Well, what I would do is that I would redose after succussions, just like how we talked about, giving the succussions and then just give them more. That's what I would do.
Do you think that would have helped?
Probably, and you could probably do that without him knowing. Because if the medicine works, but
Um,
see, when the improvement slows is the sign when we can redose to progress the cure. Because we're just working to progress the cure in an acute, in a chronic like that. So it's going to take a number of repetitions generally, but you always have to succuss between the repetitions. If you redose and it's the same without it being touched with succussion, it can stop acting as you'd like it to. It could even aggravate. So I would say that you probably just need to add succussions there.
If remedy is acting
how is it
or
200?
acted,
How often would you give a 200 in a solution and succussions?
Only when needed. Only when
Like every
improvement
day
slows.
possible?
you don't have to
Theoretically,
repeat daily. You need to observe the response of the person. If he is responding well, you don't have to repeat. If he is responding slowly, then you should repeat up to that level until you get an optimal response.
How often
And
still?
then,
You know, with a
But it
30, you know,
depends.
you often
No.
do it every day, you know, and the response is good, but it's not fast enough. So you do it
no,
every day. But I was at
listen,
200. What's the, like the
no,
very, very vague, like recommendation?
whether if you are using a centesimal scale potency, you cannot repeat very frequently because it is very strong potency. If you are using LM potency, you can repeat every day.
But in
Unfortunately, we
acute
don't have a good
frequency.
quality
Centesimal,
LMs here, so I can only use centesimals.
okay,
Um,
centesimal, if you are using centesimal, you can use up to 1 or 2 doses, infrequent doses. Like if you are treating acute, you can repeat hourly or 3 hourly. But if you are treating a chronic one, you should the suggestion is 1 dose a day. 1 dose a day or 1 day alternate dosing.
What about 200? This is the 30 you're talking
Yeah.
about? What about?
No, I'm
stay with
talking,
the
not talking
200.
about the potency. I am talking
Yeah.
about repetition. Whatever potency you are using, either we are using 30 or you are using 200, or you should repeat according to the state of the person. Whether he is acute or he is chronic, chronically,
Yeah. As
means how
improvement
his
slows,
sufferings are.
it really
If
has to
he,
do.
But what I observe in my clinical practice is whenever I give some medication, if it is similar, there is not much need of repetition. In some cases, it is there is a need of
you
repetition.
have
Is
to,
it true, ma'am?
check. You have
Yes.
to check with the symptoms. If the person is responding well to the remedy, you cannot repeat. What Hahnemann had talks about in Aphorism 247, what 246 Tikwa?
Gosh, I don't always remember the numbers off the top of my head.
Okay,
But
what he
yeah.
is talking, if the progress is slow, you have to repeat until you get a very good amount of speed towards cure.
But sir,
But
if the
if
progress
he,
um,
he says if the progress is decline and very good, then you should stop repetition.
Yeah, don't
May I ask
repeat
another
during the
question?
amelioration.
If the amelioration starts, then you should stop dosing. The every new added dose will slow down the cure process. And even it will aggravate the presenting symptom.
So don't redose during amelioration, but only when improvement slows. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can I ask another question? Like
One
exactly
minute,
about
1 minute. Tikwa, just if you, this is going very off topic, so you can close that recording and we can talk.
Okay, let me figure out how to do that. That goes to recording. Do we remember where to? Oh, you're also a what's it called? You're also a
Okay.
host. You can stop it and send it to the cloud.
No, it's going on your computer.